I promise I won't make any fart noises while Cliff's trying to talk.
All right, we're about to go live. I see it. Cliff, are you ready?
I'm ready, sir. Are you ready, sir?
I'm ready. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Torn Tuesday, your weekly dose of all things Hobbit and Lord of the Rings.
And Silmarillion, and the Book of Lost Tales, and Unfinished Tales.
I'm only talking about movie and TV licenses.
I'm going to be talking about everything under the sun with J.R.R. Tolkien, also known to his friends as John Ronald, to all of us around the world known as the Professor. Welcome, everybody. This is Justin over here.
And this is Cliff. And if
Here
you
we
are new
Welcome.
to the show, we've been doing this show for over 6 years, over 300 episodes. And thank you for the wonderful tweets we've been seeing for some people showing screenshots of some of our favorite episodes, which are all up on YouTube. If you search for The One Ring on YouTube, you can see some of our interviews with Zelda Williams, Robin Williams' daughter,
Yes.
Cole Sprouse,
Yes,
and
indeed.
Dylan Sprouse, and Doug Brochu, and we've had John Kay, and we've
It's
had
hilarious.
Kevin Eastman,
Yes.
and we've had half the cast of Lord of the Rings. Sean Astin's been on a few times.
Yes, we have.
So it's been really fun. Cliff,
Yes, sir.
you are a published author. You've produced and wrote the definitive documentary on Ringer's Lord of the Fans,
Yes.
right?
Yes, sir.
You took it to festivals. You sold it to Sony Pictures.
Indeed, we did.
You basically lived the dream of every fan filmmaker, right?
We overwhelmed Slam Dance, and I have to say, back then, you know, that was a lot. Going to Park City, taking the film to have everyone see it. We had so many Ringer fans from around the country come to the world premiere of Ringer's Lord of the Fans
And
in Utah, and then little did we know, but the biggest studio on the planet, Sony Pictures, would buy up our film and distribute it all around the world.
and part of the success of that was that while you were making it, you were introduced to a major geek film producer, right? And he came on board your film.
Yes, indeed. His name was Tom DeSanto, and everybody out there.
He did X-Men, didn't he?
Everybody in the world might know Tom DeSanto from little films like the Transformers,
The Transformers series
X-Men films, just a few little
and
things he's
the
done.
X-Men series.
And having
He's done pretty well for
being-
himself.
and being, you know, a really, really smart businessman, Mr. Tom DeSanto helped us get that film out the door. And believe it or not, it's been around the world and back. And now here we are, all these years later. You know what's going to happen? By the time Amazon opens up the floodgates and gives us even more information and more details about their upcoming Lord of the Rings, or I should say Middle-earth TV series, you know what we're probably going to do? We're going to have Ringer's Lord of the Fans up-resed. I mean, it was released originally on DVD in standard def.
Right.
So we're working on doing an up-res so we can re-release it in high def, and we'll give you guys more details about that in the coming months, maybe the next year.
I tell you,
hopefully.
one of the
That'll be very
amazing
exciting.
things of this this fan community is, unlike some other toxic fan communities right now, everyone is so
Oh,
helpful.
thank you for that.
And the fact that you can start a project like a little fan documentary, which just starts with like interviewing your friends.
Yes.
And they say, hey, you should talk to my buddy over here, or you should go over there.
Yes.
But the fact that everyone can come together, and then the biggest names can come in and participate in these adventures, and that's why we've been able to like have so much fun. Whether it's like working with Weta at Comic-Con, they've generously hosted us at their booth for
Yes.
selling T-shirts.
Boy, that was nice. Yes.
You know, at Comic-Con and doing parties with them there. And, of course, all the support that we've gotten from Sideshow Collectibles and
Yes.
everybody else for all of the parties that you guys have helped crowdfund and we've helped put together. Like,
You know, it's a community. It's not just a website.
That's what
the OneRing.net has over many, 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 many years now. Oh my God, I'm dating myself. But yeah, the OneRing.net since 1999 has been the major web portal for everything. A community of people We even managed to get people around the world to organize line parties where all the fans would line up at the theater to actually go and see the Middle-earth films that Peter Jackson released.
Back when assigned seating wasn't a thing and you had to line up to get a
back
good
when
seat.
there was a thing for lining up. Yes.
And then
you're the professional with lining up because your background with all the Star Wars charity.
Lineups.
You do a lot of great fundraising for charity for the Starlight Foundation with the liningup.net.
Yeah, those guys are really great.
But we're all crossed over. I mean, the community has found, like, not just Tolkien fans, but we cross over to a lot of Star Wars fans, Harry Potter, Doctor Who, and the brown coats.
But we always come
Firefly fans,
we always
you're
come
welcome
back to
here.
Lord of the Rings though, because
You're welcome.
like Lord of the Rings is the standard bearer for fantasy storytelling, and you could even see
that's
that
true.
During
That's
the
true.
Vote Bilbo campaign. Remember when MTV put up
my God.
Twilight versus Bilbo?
No, we blew out the MTV Movie Awards with a massive campaign to vote Bilbo.
And
It
the
was
fans
really something
made
else.
it happen, and that's what I'm so excited about this community is that like everyone comes together, whether it's like Vote Bilbo on Twitter or setting up line parties or major Hollywood producers supporting your movie, helping to get it sold to big studios.
Charmed life.
Or if we just like, or if we post a Facebook event for Bilbo's birthday bash in Griffith Park and 500 people show up in costume and the authorities show up and say, there's way too many people. This has to be organized.
We need to shut you
Who's in
down.
charge? And we're like, no one's in charge because this is the fans just doing what they do. And
That's awesome.
It's
an awesome community. It really is.
So I'm leading into like all these wonderful partners, you know, that have supported us through the years, fans and companies and producers and Weta and Warner Brothers. Everyone's been so nice to us.
They really have.
The latest company that has come around and really supported us is a company called Gemmer.
Gemmer.
And
yes. I'm so glad to have this new affiliation with Gemmer.
It's one of the most requested things of the last 10 years at least that we've received on our message boards and everything is that all the collectors, all the Tolkien collectors that have everything from Sideshow, everything that Weta produces, the movie posters, the bus shelters, even going back to the Hildebrandt calendars.
The collectibles from the Ralph Bakshi film released by United Artists.
The cells, there's people have animation cells.
Very, very hard to find action figures, coloring books, buttons, badges, as they're called in the United Kingdom, collectible toys, bumper stickers, keychains, coin banks.
Everything.
They were like big plastic
Vote
coin
Gandalf.
banks.
You know,
gosh, the vote Gandalf buttons.
Vote Gandalf buttons were a huge thing
from the American counterculture movement
in the 60s and
in
70s.
the 60s and early 70s.
So we set up.
Wow.
Gemmer gave us the opportunity to start our collectors community over on their platform.
Yes.
It's absolutely free for us, for you guys. No one's making money here because we've never been about that. We've been about just building the community. And so our collectibles editor, who again was just a fan that bought everything, and he had so many things, he started reviewing them, and he's like, hey, can you post this? And well, now he's our actual collectibles editor, and he's running this. And we've got him on Skype right now. Josh.
Mr. Josh is going to join us.
What's up, guys?
He's the man. How you doing, bro? Good to see you.
How are you, sir?
Very good, sir. Very good.
Well, I loved hearing you guys talk about, you know, all the people that we've been able to team up with and stuff, and adding the folks at Gemmer has been really great for a collector because, you know, having talked to them before we got started, they're really passionate about collectors being able to come together and share what we love. I mean, it's all great to buy this stuff, as I've said before, but if you don't have anybody else to share it with, I mean, it kind of becomes something that you can lose interest in a way because you're the only one that's ever seeing it. And, you know, you can't be inviting people over to your house all the time to be able to show them your stuff and that kind of stuff. So having an online community in this way allows all of us to come together and show, you know, all the really neat stuff. I know we've talked about some of the crazy things that have been on there. Someone had I sent this before I came on and sent Justin a picture of it that I had never seen it before. Lord of the Rings tarot cards. I've never even seen anything like that.
Let me see if I can bring it up.
There have been Josh. There have been some beautiful, beautiful editions of Lord of the Rings tarot cards.
See, that's not and that's what I like. You've seen that, but for me,
Yeah.
I mean, that's new. That was really fantastic because to me, that's something brand new. And when you've been collecting and doing stuff for as long as I've been doing it at this point, it's always neat to see something you've never seen before. And so that's what I love about this, is because we can come together, and that's new to me. And I'm like, that's pretty cool. I wonder if I could find something like that, if I decided to get it.
Now to show just how much pent up demand there was for just a dedicated collectible section in the few weeks that we've had this up, how many people have joined the community?
We're just short of 3,400 members in basically 6 weeks.
3,000 people, 3,400 people have already signed up for this.
Color me impressed.
And the thing is as we're adding more people, the number of things that are being shared is really, it's growing all the time. The number of collections is growing. Like I said, there's the tarot cards. Someone shared something that I've been kind of trying to hunt down. Obviously Funko does Lord of the Rings pops, and they announced that they were going to do a King Elisar pop. Well, he was supposed to be tied to Toys R Us, who obviously has gone out of business.
That's unfortunate.
He's now,
yes.
Somebody had one and took a picture, and it's got a Barnes and Noble sticker on it.
Oh my god!
So I'm like, now I know where to go look, because obviously all the Toys R Us around me have gone, belly up. So, like I said, as someone who's been collecting a while, and I do have a lot of stuff, it's nice to be able to have other collectors share their thing and clue you in. This has been one of the funnest things I've gotten to do, and I'm glad we kind of got this together, and I thank Justin, because he's I wanted to do something like this. I had an idea for something like this a little bit, but he's really been a great partner for me and kind of helping me get in touch with the Gemmer people. So he says all these nice things about me leading in and everything, but I thank him for helping me be able to do something where I get to work with other collectors, and I don't know. I just absolutely love it.
You've been a part of the Tolkien community, both on the OneRing.net message boards and the Shadow and Flame message boards, where the Weta collectors meet up for years. Are you seeing things on this new Gemmer community that you've never seen before?
Oh, absolutely. Well, like I said, the tarot cards I had never seen before. We've talked about some of the different calendars that have popped up. A lot of the old film cells from the Rankin Bass stuff. All those kinds of little things that you knew were out there, but I'd never actually seen in physical form. Some people had shared custom stuff that they've made. Someone had like these wooden things, and one of them had the Rohirrim picture on, the logo. One of them had a Gondorian logo. So a lot of things like that. I mean, it's amazing what's out there, collectibles wise, because Lord of the Rings obviously has been around longer than the movies. So there's always been collectibles like you guys talked about. A lot of my collection is built around the film collectibles. So, to see the stuff that's not tied to the films, actually, to me, is always the biggest kick, because I have so many of the items related to the film collectibles. So,
that's the main reason you go to Comic-Con every year, at your own expense, flying from out of town, paying for the hotel, the multi-$100 tickets. You go because you're a collector, and more than anything else, right?
Oh, absolutely. I love, this will be my 14th straight year going out there to San Diego. The first year that I went, it was a college graduation gift. So that's the only year. Yeah, it's been a couple of days. So, that's the only time I've gone out there and haven't paid for plane ticket and hotel or condo, when we've had a few of us stay in a condo. I know you've done that with us a couple of times. So I love going out there. I love seeing all those stuff at the Weta booth. I love going and seeing whatever Jerry Vanderstelt's doing at his booth with his Lord of the Rings stuff and Star Wars stuff. Obviously, Sideshow Collectibles has had Lord of the Rings over the years, and they've got some great Marvel and DC and Star Wars and all that kind of thing. I like to look at all the little knick-knack booths that might have something that maybe might be able to scratch an itch on. It's a really neat experience. It's difficult to go to Comic-Con, and it's not cheap. I mean, it's $1,000 trip for me every summer. Yeah, exactly.
So is this the main opportunity that you get to meet up in person with other collectors?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I've got a couple of friends that live in the area. One of them, well, you've hung out and met with Rumi a few times.
But even the Shadow and Flame folks, like, they get together every week, and
Yeah, we usually have a party every year with the Weta folk. I'm not sure if that's going to go down this year. There's a few little hiccups, I think, maybe with that.
Stay tuned on that. We have more to announce soon.
But other than that, yeah, I mean, unfortunately, to get a large group of us together, Comic-Con is really the only way for us to get together physically. So that's, I mean, for me personally, that's what makes that event so amazing. But also, that's what makes the Gemmer, being able to have the club there is as special as it is to me personally, because it's a constant. The fellowship never has to break apart. We are always together looking at stuff and being able to see what's being added. And obviously I have the app set up where I get notifications when people add things, and I don't know. This is one of the coolest things I've gotten to do in my time as a collector. So, and
one of the cool things that I've heard, not just from Lord of the Rings fans, but from other fandoms, is that collectors, when they run out of space or they need some money and they have to sell their prized pieces, they almost always want to keep it in the fan community. They don't just want to put it on eBay and it might be a gift for someone. I mean, that's the whole thing about Glass, the Unbreakable character, Mr. Glass, who wouldn't sell a comic art because he was selling it. He only wanted to sell it to a collector, and that's. I
remember that dialogue very distinctly. That was, say what you will about Shyamalan Ding Dong, but I think that Unbreakable was really successful, and I'm more excited than I can tell you about the poster that I saw combining James McAvoy from Split with our Unbreakable characters and Mr. Glass, of course. I hate to go on this digression, but I'm super nerd boy excited about Glass.
You guys have both found that true with Lord of the Rings fans. They kind of want to keep Tolkien collectibles in the Tolkien community, and I think Gemmer is allowing that to happen because everyone's just focused only on Lord of the Rings.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, is that if you sell something, and it's never fun to have to sell something, and I've got a few things that I'm probably going to have to sell relatively soon because it's unfortunately it's not Pokemon, you can't catch it all. So it's an unfortunate thing when you do have to sell them, but being able to sell to another fan and have that kind of stay, like you said, in the family really is very nice. I mean, it's that it's going to go to somebody that's probably, you hope, most likely, since they're a fan of the stuff, they're going to keep it and they're going to take care of it, and they're going to care for it the same way that you cared for it. And plus too, to be honest with you, when you sell something on Gemmer, and if you decide to go through the group and do that, like you said with eBay's wonderful and it reaches a broad audience, and that's great. But you lose so much money on the back end of the fees and that kind of stuff.
Yes.
That it does eat into what usually if you have to sell, you're selling for a reason. You're not just selling because, it's worth X number of dollars and I know I can get it. You're selling it because there's probably one or two pieces that are coming up that you want to buy, that piece can allow you to buy those two pieces and it doesn't come out of pocket. That's usually what I end up doing. So you can sell it on Gemmer. Obviously, there's going to be PayPal involved, so there may be some fees, obviously, with that. But the amount of money that you're going to lose with the PayPal fees is less than if you did PayPal and eBay fees. And then obviously the shipping and all that kind of stuff, it eats into it real quick if so this allows you to keep it in the family and save a little money when you're selling something.
Yes. Now, since we haven't mentioned it yet, just a quick rundown, Josh, of how you go from theonering.net to find Gemmer, and start yourself an account. It's effortless. Let's run real quick through that and tell the people how easy it is to be part of the Gemmer community.
So when you go to the OneRing.net's homepage, up at the very top, it says collecting, and you click on it, and it takes you right to the Gemmer Lord of the Ring, Torn landing page. And then obviously not at a screen, so I'm doing all these hand movements like it matters. But up in the upper right-hand corner, there's a lot, sign up, link. You click it, you do all that, create your account, and you're, set and ready to go. Mm-hmm. So that's the main way to get there. If you were just happening to be searching for Gemmer, you can put in, the OneRing.net. It'll bring up our club page. You can go through that way. We've tossed it out a ton of times in tweets. I know in the videos that I've put up on the different reviews, I've put the link, the landing page in the description of the videos. Excellent. So anybody watching them can get there. It's been on our Facebook page a number of times. Easiest way, circle all the way back around to the beginning, is to go to the OneRing.net's front page, click on collecting, takes you to the Gemmer, and then boom, you're set up and ready to go.
Very good. Well, we
Very
appreciate
cool.
you calling in and giving us the weekly update on all Tolkien collectibles, and we're looking forward to seeing you again in person at San Diego and hanging out and just geeking out as we normally do.
Before I go, I do want to chime in on something Cliff was talking about. I think it was actually a couple of weeks ago. He was talking about like what order you would show people the films, whether or not you would show The Hobbit first and then Lord of the Rings or whatever.
Yeah, because I find it very useful for a newbie to start with the Hobbit films, but people feel differently about that.
He's only a couple months old, but my sister and my brother-in-law just had a baby first part of May.
Oh,
so
cute.
When you were talking about that the other day, I'm thinking, okay, that's a good question. Me personally, I'm going to show him the Lord of the Rings first and then show him the Hobbit, just because when it comes to the two stories, both the books and the movies, I prefer Lord of the Rings over the Hobbit. So I've been waiting to pop on to talk to you and kind of chime in with that real quick. So I wanted to do that real quick before I ran off.
So for you, it's Lord of the Rings first.
Yes.
Okay, so it's like theatrical release order. I like getting creative. The way Star Wars fans got really creative with the machete order for their films, and that's always been that fun topic of discussion. But just for my own personal flavor, I like to meet Christopher Lee and Saruman as a good guy. I like to meet him first, and then see where his character arc goes in The Lord of the Rings later on. But you know what?
That's true.
There are a lot of people who are like, oh, why would you risk showing the Hobbit films first? And if they really don't like it and they don't care for it, then your newbie audience member may never, ever graduate and see the Lord of the Rings at all, in case they didn't like the Hobbit films. So there is that risk. I understand that, of course.
That's true. That's true.
All right, we're getting a call from Hannah, who I believe is in New Zealand. So we're going to let you go, Josh.
All right, tell Hannah I said hi.
I will.
Bye, Josh.
Bye, guys.
All right. We're hitting answer live. Hi.
Hi.
Hey there. How are you?
Where are you?
We're around Mount Cook right now.
Wait, is that Edoras? Or is that what is that? Caradris?
Possibly.
That's not how you pronounce Carathras.
Carathras.
My gosh.
Show us again.
All right.
Can you turn your phone sideways
live
so
view.
we can actually see landscape?
Yeah.
There you go. That's so beautiful.
There we are.
Is that really the mountain range in New Zealand that they filmed for?
No, it's not.
It's the Misty Mountains? What is this?
No. This is around Mount Cook.
Did you go up into the snow? Hannah, what's going on? Why are you in New Zealand? Why aren't you here hosting? What's happening?
Because I'm in New Zealand right now. I've been here for about like a month.
And what have you done in a month?
Well, I've had my own little adventures. I've gone to Hobbiton. I went to Wada. That was fun. Got to go to Paradise and Lothlorien as well.
What's been the most amazing part so far for you?
that's kind of hard because there's quite a few things that are on par with each other. But I'm probably going to have to say the two things that would be the most special would be Weta and Hobbiton. Yeah. Stop.
You got to sit in Hobbiton and take in the scenery and wait for your wizard to show up.
Yeah, cosplayed as well, mind you. So that was great.
Where can people see these photos of you in these magical places?
Oh shoot. Pardon?
Where can people find photos of you in these magical places?
Well, sorry, these guys just passed by this bridge. Well, you can find them on my Twitter, which is a Cimmerillion28, and on my Instagram, which is Baggins is here.
Baggins is here on Instagram.
It is so delightful to see you. You are obviously still on the South Island, my dear.
Yeah, we are.
You are on the South Island, and you are driving somewhere within view of the very, very majestic Southern Alps of New Zealand. It is absolutely beautiful. Tell me, where are you headed this evening? Are you headed to Queenstown or to Twizel? Where are you headed?
No, actually, we were in Queenstown last week. Well, yeah, last week.
It's beautiful
we
there, isn't it?
We're at the base of Mount Cook right now, but at the moment.
Wow.
Wait, hold on. Let me see if I could turn it around real quick.
The extraordinary places that you are seeing. Mount Cook is where Sir Edmund Hillary practiced his early attempt at Everest, and he tested his equipment and his stamina
in New Zealand
on Mount Cook, because Mount Cook is the tallest mountain in the country in New Zealand. And before Edmund Hillary did his amazing record-breaking ascent of Mount Everest, he practiced on Mount Cook.
Wow. Well, it looks like we got a little bit of a frozen screen.
But she is 3,500 miles away.
Hey,
so, yeah.
Technology is amazing. It's like a Palantir in every pocket. It's wonderful to see you and hear you, Hannah, and we look forward for you to come back and we can hang out at Comic-Con as we like to do.
Yes, I'm very excited. I'm actually coming back next week, so next time you see me, I will be a legal adult, so that's pretty fun.
Oh my God, you've even metamorphosized while you were in New Zealand?
Metamorphosed.
I don't know what the proper...
Watch your verbs, man. Watch your verbs.
Well, it's great to see you and great to hear you, and we'll see you.
Yeah, it's great talking to you guys again.
It's great. It is lovely to see you. Bundle up, enjoy the winter weather down there in the southern hemisphere.
Thank you.
While the rest of the country here in North America is boiling and broiling in triple-digit heat. Wow. Bye, Hannah. Lovely to see you. Very lovely to see you.
And let's bring our camera back. Oh, hi.
Oh, hello. Hey,
hello.
We're back on. Oh, gosh, wow. Jeez.
God,
I didn't know you were standing there. Jeez,
we've got an audience already starting here at the Scum and Villainy Cantina.
Yes, we do.
And we like to show this place off, don't we?
Is the kitchen open yet? Because we were going to order off of the menu for Scum and Villainy, we were going to get some of Sam Wise's fried...
tater tots.
Shire taters.
Shire tots.
I want some Shire fried taters, precious. And I'm probably going to order those Gollum style.
I can't believe they're playing in the snow, but then I realized New Zealand is on the other side of the world, upside down world, and it is winter there.
Where the stars are strange.
The winter, it's winter there, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, you know the dialogue that Aragorn has where he says, I have traveled far, far, far beyond these lands.
Yes.
To witness things beyond the boundaries of Middle-earth. And he explains it so eloquently. He says, I've gone to the far, far countries, comma, where the stars are strange. That is such an Aragorn line. I love it. That's, Tolkien is brilliant. He knew what he was doing, of course.
Well, our main
That's
topic
just so
today, Cliff, is...
So, no. Is it? Are we really?
Well, tomorrow is an important day in America. It's Independence Day.
It is the day called July 4th to everyone else in the world.
Where
but
we
to us,
told the British to sod off.
Yes, we told the redcoats, sod off. Where we dumped the tea in the harbor and had a big fight about it and all that stuff. And eventually, 13 colonies did something quite unique.
Hey, like 13 dwarves.
They declared a new future. They wrote down something on a piece of paper, and they said, going forward, we are no longer that mess. We are this. And they declared a whole new future, and all of our lives changed forever. From one piece of paper, one declaration, one statement, and the lives of everyone's futures, millions of us, changed that day. It is unique.
So is there
It's unique.
anything... That's a great point to make. And I wonder
Well,
if there's anything in Lord of the Rings that any of the peoples of Middle-earth that made a similar declaration where that was us, that was then, this is now. Has there ever been a declaration of freedom, even post-battle, in Middle-earth?
Now, this is where we get down to it. Yes, this is very interesting. We're probably going to get
and
some
you
help.
guys can join in on the conversation.
We very much want you guys to come
phone
into this
number
conversation.
is right there. Let's see if I can follow the number.
Move my head
530-64 Frodo.
For Frodo.
That's really our phone number. 530-643-7636 spells for Frodo.
Okay.
So you
all
can
right.
call us. You can text us even. We will read your text. Do you guys know if there was a declaration of freedom or declaration of independence from another peoples in Middle-earth, in Lord of the Rings, Silmarillion, whatever?
Not so much that I remember in that way. Not in the way where somebody wrote some piece of paper and said, okay, we're now... It's more like identifying when people in Middle-earth were being attacked and subjugated by Morgoth or the servants of Morgoth, the original Dark Lord. And that happened, and if anybody knows anything about the Silmarillion or the stories of the First Age of Middle-earth, there were many occasions, way before the Lord of the Rings, where an entire group of people were being oppressed, destroyed, having their lives and their futures ruined by Morgoth's desire to mar and ruin and blacken and destroy all the good, green, beautiful things in Arda. And Morgoth's only interest was destruction and domination. So we have a big historical canvas, even going into the later Second Age and the Third Age, where the Witch King of Angmar imposed his military rule over the northern kingdoms. There are lots of places in all of Middle-earth where some people actually succeeded, and in their victory, they began anew with their new nation, with their new identity.
And
there's a lot of places in Middle-earth where you could find it.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but the only character in at least the Lord of the Rings movies that declares a land of peoples free is Saruman. He frees the people of the mountains and the highlands from subjugation.
They're from
and
Dunland, and they're called Dunlendings.
Okay.
Yes, the Dunlendings
So
were...
Saruman is a freedom rider.
Saruman, believe it or not, tried to make his cause more appealing because the nation of Rohan did not behave very nicely towards the wild men of Dunland.
They didn't behave nice to anyone.
No, but the wild men of Dunland also did not behave very nicely to the men of Rohan. So that conflict became something that Saruman could exploit.
Right.
Indeed.
Hey, we've got some answers from the chat rooms. You guys are amazing. We put out the question and you answer it. Enzi is saying, we do have Aragorn going around granting independence right after his coronation.
That is very true. That is a very smart
Now,
observation.
What do you talk about the Shire and the people of Gonbury Gone?
Yeah,
Now,
the people of
explain that.
Gonbury
I don't
Gone.
remember that in the movie.
Well, because it was never in the movie. Now, we have other people who are with us live in this chat, and they know that the movies that Peter Jackson made, as beautiful and as Oscar-winning as they were, they still did not include all the details. I mean, this was a massive 1,200-page narrative, and so an entire race of people called the Woses. They were called the Wild Men, and they lived in the woods,
Okay.
in the borderlands in between Rohan and Gondor. And Gonbury Gon is the representative of those people.
Of the wild
The
people?
wild, they were the Druidain. Yes. Sort of the Rohirrim used to hunt them like animals. That, thank you, Scuffed.
Until Aragorn officially recognized them.
Scuffed World Order in our YouTube chat has correctly identified that the Rohirrim were actually really awful to Gonbury Gon and his people.
The
And
Rohirrim?
The Rohirrim were genuinely awful.
Because
to
they're men
Gonbury
of
Gon,
Rohan.
But they targeted them and hunted them like beasts in the woods.
Yeah, because they're men of Rohan, and Rohan was a despicable, jealous type that just didn't want to help anybody. Even after Helm's Deep, they're like, "Oh, should we go? Will Rohan answer? Will Rohan answer?" Like, Rohan's just not nice people. You guys are awesome. Justin Zimmerman says there might have been the northern kingdom of Arnor split into
Yes.
3 separate kingdoms.
Arthedain, Hrudauer, and Cardolan. Those were the 3 kingdoms of the north.
Huh.
And when those 3 kingdoms separated and declared themselves separate city-states or regional states, the Witch King of Angmar came in and found, like Saruman, a way to exploit the infighting between the 3. Because Hrudauer is where the troll woods are, where Bilbo and the dwarves encountered those 3 trolls.
Right.
And they were turned to stone because they were kept preoccupied with how to cook the dwarves, and then the daylight came so quickly they didn't realize it. But that was within the kingdom of Hrudauer, and you hear Galadriel mention it by name in that unexpected journey. But there was also Arthedain and Cardolan, and you know what? They were trying to be independent from Gondor, and Gondor was like, okay, you guys do your mess up there, but don't come looking to us when you're in trouble. And guess what? The Witch King blew through, and they got into a lot of mess. Very intriguing. You guys are really on your Lord of the Rings history.
Yeah.
Eravandi says, I need to reread Return of the King this year. It's been too long. Yes,
Now
it's
back
always
to
good to reread that.
Enzi. I love this guy, or girl, I should say, gender neutral. Tolkien described himself as somewhat anarchic in temperament, reflected in his rejection of abusive power evidenced in the book.
Yes.
Which contrasts with right exercise of authority by Aragorn. So he probably favored independence, but perhaps not every method of getting it may reflect influence of G.K. Chesterton.
Yes, G.K. Chesterton, who was one of the Inklings. Now,
Thank you, miss.
I'm telling you, this is fascinating, NZ. Great stuff. Thank you for coming into our live chat. I think if you're going to identify one big declaration of independence that could be loosely analogous to what we're talking about with July 4th for us, after the scouring of the Shire, which again, one of the best parts of the book that Peter Jackson never bothered to put in the movie.
No, he filmed it. We see parts of it, but he edited it out.
He edited, okay, well, like I said, well then it's just
The
still not in
Unicorn
the movie.
edition.
It's still not in the movie. But with Saruman dying the way he dies in the beginning of Return of the King Extended Edition, you couldn't have a scouring of the Shire.
Correct.
Couldn't even work.
So
to say
but-
that after the scouring of the Shire and after Elisar is crowned king, and it's like we're ready to begin the 4th age.
that's not very democratic of them, right? Like, hey, thanks for helping us win the battle. Here, you can be king. Like, rule
king,
over us.
But Aragorn's great, I love this word, beneficence. In his beneficence, King Elisar said to all the hobbits, this land is yours now. The Shire will
Did it
not. No one.
explicitly?
And it's in the book. You've got to read the book again. If you don't remember this, man, I know you've got to read this book twice. You've read The Lord of the Rings once.
Yes.
But not The Hobbit, okay?
Yeah.
But then, and
Cliff's
I'm glad
notes.
that in the
Abridged.
in the chat room, people have identified that Aragorn goes on this royal tour and grants all of these freedoms and declarations to a lot of people around Middle-earth. And I think the biggest one that touches me, and is probably most significant to me as a fan, is that the hobbits are suddenly granted autonomy. Governmental, municipal autonomy that they've never had before after the War of the Ring is over.
So
But
there's
but
more
it's-
to the meaning.
And that's when the hobbits realize we are going to have to fight. After they realize this is our world and we can't isolate ourselves from it anymore. And the significant events of the Scouring of the Shire make it more impactful, I think, that Aragorn says, King Elisar, no mortal men will pass through the boundaries of your land ever again without permission from the king. Without permission from the king.
So
that's kind of cool.
You're telling
I'm so
me
into
that already the most emotional moment in the Lord of the Rings movies, when Aragorn at the coronation goes up to the hobbits and says, "You bow to no one." That's more than just a friend saying, "You bow to no one." That is King Elisar telling the future mayor of Hobbiton, and it's leading a financial investor in Hobbiton, the richest guy in Hobbiton, Frodo. He is telling the political and financial leaders of Hobbiton, "You bow to no one. We will not mess with your lands. You are free. Your peoples are free." He's basically saying, when he says "you bow to no one," he's saying, your peoples are free. That is even heavier, and now I might get way more emotional when I see that next time, because there is more to his statement than just a friend saying, "You don't bow to me, we're still buddies." That's how I took it. I see that scene and I'm like, oh, Aragorn. It's not Aragorn is speaking as Aragorn, pal and buddy, not King Elisar. He's like, "You don't bow to me, we're still buddies." But you're telling me that it's explicit in Tolkien's writing that he is in that quote, he is saying, I give your people freedom from men.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep.
Let me have a moment. Let me have a moment.
Let Justin have a moment. He's quite right. Hey, thank you, NZ, for the clarification in the YouTube chat. Chesterton was not a member of the Inklings, but he was bloody close. Bloody well close. Yes. Wow. Yeah, that's very, very good.
That's heavy. That is so heavy.
Wait. Do we have a camera? Can we do a camera change?
Yeah.
Because this gentleman, one of the very able-bodied staff, hard-working staff of the Scum and Villainy Cantina, tell us, brother, what's on your mind? And this whole Mad Max outfit has me going. I'm like, oh wait, no. If you had a choice, there we go. All right. Mad Max,
Perfect.
or Road Warrior, or Beyond Thunderdome, or Fury Road. What's your pick?
Road Warrior.
The first one? Oh, the second one. The Road Warrior is the second one. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
When you're talking about
No.
moments in time where things are different now and move forward, it didn't quite work out great. But Feanor's burning of the ships during the Noldor exile, when they said, "What will we do now? Should we go back?" and he burns the ships.
After the kinslaying.
Yes.
That's I think a statement of freedom from a political leader.
Well, they were leaving Valinor. He's saying, "We're not going back to Valinor. We're staying in Middle Earth and making our stamp here." That was what came to mind when you asked about that.
Because their only interest was to fulfill Feanor's oath to reclaim the Silmarils.
Yeah.
At whatever cost.
Mm-hmm. But as there was definitely a moment of establishing something that changed forever. There is no going back.
Indeed, that you know what? There you go. That's a huge. I didn't really think of that. It's not really just politically declaring yourself independent. The elves were metaphysically and spiritually severing themselves from Valinor and the protection and guidance of the Valar, which was deep. That shit's deep. That's deep, man. That was really a bad scene.
Yeah.
For the elves, that was a very bad scene. Very bad.
Yeah, I said it wasn't good, but definitely a changing of the guard in a very, very explicit way.
Yes. And so they just, wow, they said, to hell with you. We're going to go fulfill the dream of our father protecting these Silmarils. That's fascinating to me. Very fascinating. You know?
Yeah.
Very good, sir. Very good. All right, see, now. Good.
You know, people in the chat room are
give me
just
some
pointing
Old
out, like,
Crow.
only at the Scum and Villainy Cantina can a resident of the Wasteland Weekend have an intelligent discussion
I love
about Tolkien.
Dude, have you done the Wasteland Weekend?
And if you don't know what Wasteland Weekend is,
It's
it
awesome.
is basically
so awesome.
an Entmoot for Mad Max fans
Sure
in the
is.
middle of the desert, where they bring out all these cars that they've made to look like Mad Max. Yeah, look up Wasteland Weekend. There's great photos. So here's the other thing, is that someone in the chat room was just asking, are you equating Aragorn giving freedom to the hobbits to America's Independence Day? I am not. In fact, I am saying the opposite. No. I don't believe in any Lord of the Rings, movies or book, that a lesser people have ever declared freedom from a greater people. What we have just talked about is that Saruman grants freedom to things. Aragorn, king, grants freedom. Fëanor grants freedom. It's always from the top down, authoritative political leader says grants freedom. Not like America, which we were just a bunch of punk kids that said, you know what, king, we're out.
Yeah, we were just a bunch of punk colonies.
So is there anything in Middle Earth, Silmarillion or otherwise, first, second, third age, that that has a lesser people declaring their freedom from anything, from ruling?
Not so easy to identify.
So does that mean Tolkien hated America?
No,
he never came
that's
here.
That's not the way Professor Tolkien wrote his stories. You know.
Okay.
It's not the way Professor Tolkien wrote.
He was just familiar with kings, and all he knew was to write about kings. You know,
Enzi says, I think that the thing about the elves leaving Valinor is that it's more destructive than anything else. They think that they're getting free, but they're binding themselves to the oath, and it is so destructive. Yes, Enzi, that is absolutely correct. Absolutely. So this reflects back to power versus authority. Yes, which is one of Professor Tolkien's favorite.
Power versus authority.
Yes, one of his favorite themes.
You can
actually.
have authority, but not keep all the power. Is that what you're saying? That's one of the lessons of Lord of the Rings?
Yes. Well, one of the biggest thematic.
So having authority and grabbing power is the negative. That's what Saruman tries to do. No, I don't even think he tries to do that. He just tries to free a bunch of people.
Look at it this way. Everywhere in Tolkien, the use of extreme power is a bad thing. It's always a bad thing. The attraction to that huge use of power is the compulsion and the temptation that most of the characters have to face. But when given free reign to use ultimate power, it's always bad.
Is that
it's
why
always
Tolkien
bad.
named it the One Ring of Power and not the One Ring of Magic or the One Ring of Evil or the One Ring of Fire? He called it the One Ring of Power?
He called it the ruling ring. He called it the ruling ring. He called it the One Ring because so many of the things about Tolkien's thematic approach is a lot less political. He deliberately wrote a world that is going to let everybody find applicable entry points to it in other generations. People in the 1930s read The Hobbit, and they saw political slant in there from the way they lived in the world in the 30s. We might read it now in 2018, read The Hobbit or The Lord of the Rings, and we'll get very different generational placement of where we are in our current events. And Professor Tolkien always said, you guys are with me on this, it's the difference between allegory, and applicability. And that is a big, big, big thing. Something is allegorical, it's because the author is going to hit you over the head with the symbolism and make sure that you are, really, you have nowhere to go.
Yeah.
You have no other interpretation to get away from it.
Yeah.
It's when C.S. Lewis says, this beautiful lion, Aslan, he's actually a symbol for Jesus, the Savior from Christianity. And there's no applicability. It can't be applicable to something else because the author is very deliberate in saying this is an analogy. And Professor Tolkien avoided all that mess as often as he could. He was much more interested in, you can look at that 25 years from now and think it's applicable to your generational story and your cultural place where you are. And then another 50 years further out, the symbolism of the Lord of the Rings and the themes might be applicable to this generation in a different way.
Back to
Get
what's
it?
actually written and
But
not just allegory and themes.
Let me just put a tiny button on that. Professor Tolkien wanted the reader to have the power, not the author to force interpretation, but that the reader has the power to reach new interpretations and new understandings for every given generation. And that's a gift.
We have a great question from the chat room. Does the free peoples rising up against Sauron count as winning their independence from a greater power?
Yes, Kim?
No, it doesn't.
Why not? I would say yes.
Because Sauron isn't in control. They're not trying to win their freedom from an existing authoritative thing. They're afraid of what he could become. But the free peoples of Middle-earth fighting Sauron, they're not fighting an oppressive power like America fighting the British.
No, it wasn't like that.
Right.
But, I wanted to give Kim a piece of that argument because it's, hi, Ellen. How you doing, Ellen? Good to see you on the show. It's not about just getting your independence from another body or a greater unified authority. In that case, they were just trying to survive and not be killed.
They're battling an outside invader, and that's different than fighting your own government or authoritative authority.
I would take a look at some of the other nations and the other tribes and other cultures that were seduced by Sauron into taking part in the War of the Ring, such as the Southrons, the nation of people from the Harad, and the Easterlings. The Easterlings.
Are those the guys on the ships?
Yeah, the Corsairs on the ships, the Easterlings who came in from the Far East off of the map.
What about Númenóreans trying to obtain freedom from Valinor? What do you know about Valinor?
That's another great example. But I was just going to say that after the War of the Ring, when Sauron was destroyed and the ring was gone, then the Easterlings and the Southrons all of a sudden had great independence to live autonomously without Sauron messing them up or influencing them the way he had been. So I never thought of that until just now, but that's quite possible.
So, again, if you're just joining us, we're here every Tuesday. We're theonering.net. And we're talking Tolkien, your weekly dose of all things Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. And today we're talking about if there's anything in Middle-earth that compares to America winning its freedom from the British. Did any peoples of Middle-earth fight an oppressive government and declare freedom? And so far, we have yet to find any group of people that said, we do not follow you. It's always been, freedom has always been a gift from above.
Indeed. And you know what? With the Númenóreans, NZ, it is so worth reading the Silmarillion over again. I agree with you. It's always worth reading
Mordor is cast as an invading force, exactly.
Yeah, but not a controlling authority where you're trying to get out from under its government.
Right,
It's just an invading force.
It's a totally different thing.
When you're talking about Númenor, the Númenóreans and their kingdom and their political body was entirely taken over by Sauron's influence. The faithful, those Númenóreans who did not succumb to Sauron's influence, they were considered rebels or outcasts from Númenor. And they were the ones who were not going to worship Sauron. They wanted nothing to do with worshiping him.
Who is this?
The faithful. The Númenóreans who did not get suckered into Sauron's control.
Got it.
Because Sauron controlled Ar-Pharazôn, the last king of Númenor, and convinced the Númenóreans that Valinor was just a bogus promise, and they were like, and Sauron convinced those Númenóreans to turn dark against Valar, and to sail their ships to go attack Valinor, but not the faithful, not Erindil, not Isildur.
Jeannie Bourgeois in the chat room says, didn't the Númenorian king, Al-Pharazôn, which you just mentioned, try to wage war against the controlling Valar?
The Numenorian king Ar-Pharazôn, yes, they attempted to take their battalion of ships and make war and land on the shores of Valinor.
And gain freedom from a controlling,
where
oppressive...
No, there was no control or oppression from Valar.
Okay.
Numenor was a bloody gift. The whole thing was a gift so that they could live long lives and achieve fantastic things and be brilliant and be Numenorian. It was a gift. The only thing they were forbidden to do was to go and step foot on the shores of Valinor. They were forbidden. Only one thing. You can't step foot on Valinor. That's for the elves. That's not for you. And Sauron exploited that and turned the whole thing into a nightmare, like a massive nightmare. So, yes. How about that? I find that really fascinating. So I do. I find it fascinating because it was the Numenorians that were not corrupted by Sauron's influence. They were the ones who made separate ships and saved the Palantir and went and established the kingdom of Gondor, while the rest of Numenor was destroyed under the cataclysm of the waves, and Atlantis was sunken, just like Atlantis.
Why do you think Tolkien did not incorporate a founding story similar to America?
Because he was British. To tell you the truth, he was British, and he probably had no bloody interest in American politics at all.
Now,
and I think that's abundantly clear.
Not only did he
when
not
you read
have,
his letters and read his biography, you'd know that.
He never came to America. Tolkien never stepped foot in America.
No, he did not.
In his lifetime.
The Americans went to go visit him.
Yeah.
Yes.
And someone tweeted us this week that
Forrest Ackerman, who created famous monsters of filmland.
Lived
Uncle
down the
Forey.
street, right?
Yeah, lived down the street. He went to go visit Tolkien at the time.
But someone said that Tolkien didn't come to America not just because he didn't want to and he didn't like the country, but he was afraid of flying. He was afraid of the machines as the result of war. And I guess there's a whole train of thought that says Tolkien never flew because he saw what planes did in World War I and how these were evil machines of war created for the war or created not for war but then weaponized for war, and he refused to support anything flying from then on. I think that's a cop-out. By the time he's in the 1970s, flight travel is much more common and commercial.
It is
and
now.
He's made a ton of money selling 100 million books.
There's been a lot of comment in the arts and in film, even from Miyazaki, about the militarization of aviation. Aviation and the gift of what these engineers give us.
He was opposed to it.
The gift of flight, that mankind is no longer earthbound. Miyazaki's comment is that it's too bad, isn't it, that the dream of aviation is always going to be corrupted by being militarized.
And he famously, J.R.R. Tolkien
felt that way too.
Famously hated airplanes so much that every year when he wrote his tax return check to the UK government,
not for Concorde,
he would write "not for Concorde."
He didn't want a penny of his taxes going to the Concorde project.
Yeah,
I remember that.
He really did not like flight. But I refuse to believe that he didn't come to America because he didn't like flight. Because by that time, you've always been able to take boats. He obviously appreciated boats.
Yes, indeed.
Because he writes about them in his book
with great affection. Yes.
Right.
Wow. But look at this beautiful crowd that's been wandering in here. Welcome, everybody, to Scum and Villainy Cantina. I'm going to take a moment to acknowledge all these beautiful people, all these generous, generous souls that are here. I know the bartenders are going to take good care of you, and you're going to take good care of them, everybody. For those who are just joining us, this is the OneRing.net. We are the biggest J.R.R. Tolkien web community here doing our weekly Tuesday live show. I know you guys are going to be very excited to see Mr. Kevin himself coming up here to talk about some insane things. Lots of beautiful geekery happening. But the conversation that we find ourselves most drawn to these days, aside from speculating on who in Middle-earth has a day of independence, I think that you guys probably are getting more news than we are, maybe, about Amazon spending $500 million to license everything from the Tolkien estate and make a new TV series based on the Lord of the Rings and Middle Earth.
And committed
Guess-
another $500 million for a total $1 billion budget Lord of the Rings TV series.
The most expensive television ever produced. Ever.
That's more money than Game of Thrones
Tolkien.
has spent in their entire series.
Let me say this again. The most expensive mother effing television ever made
Watch your language.
is J.R.R. Tolkien. Once again, where's that money going to go? Who are they going to cast? Are they going to use Howard Shore's music again? Are they going to reuse weapons, props, scenery that all the designers in New Zealand made so beautiful and familiar?
I know the fans want Nicolas Cage involved.
Nicolas Cage is so not involved. What are you talking about? We also broke the news live on this very show, thanks to your great research, Justin. We broke the news here on our show that the very first season of a 5-season commitment is going to center on young Aragorn. Hashtag young Aragorn, which is a very good thing. I think it's a very good thing because it's an entry point into these Middle-earth stories with familiar characters, familiar people. Are you looking for the old crow? It's over here. No, you don't want the bourbon. Oh, I don't want this either. Oh my God, you guys, I'm totally stoked about things that I'm keeping secret, and I wish I could tell you, but I can't tell you. But the news is going to be good, and by the time this show rolls around, I think everybody's going to be pleasantly surprised.
And we've got the official Comic-Con San Diego Tolkien panel on Friday, if any of you guys are coming on down.
Who's going to San Diego Comic-Con? Yes,
We got a few
indeed.
people.
Yeah, you coming to Comic-Con? No?
It's getting harder and harder every year to get passes to that.
That was
thing.
just enthusiasm. That was just like, I'd like to go to Comic-Con. Let me raise my hand. Yeah, that's just raw nerd enthusiasm because I feel you, brother. I feel it. I know. I'm there every year.
Cliff, what are you going to spill anything at the panel?
Yes. No. I've got details that I'm not supposed to talk about because, I mean, I could get people in trouble. I really could.
So you'll want to come, and we're not allowed to live stream, and we're not allowed to film our own panel at Comic-Con.
Yes. There is a chance, NZ, that the OneRing.net will be at New York Comic-Con later this year.
Yes, we've been there every year the last 8 years, I think.
We are there every year.
We always have a good time. Minimum, we'll do a panel, but we always try to have a booth and have some wonderful T-shirts and Tolkien goodies there. So this year at Comic-Con, we're trying to get something together with Weta so we can party like hobbits.
That's going to be fun.
And as we normally do.
And we're going to invite all of our favorite friends and our favorite Hobbit actors.
That's right.
And all the people. They're going to be down there anyway, so we're just going to invite them.
Yeah.
Yeah. We know how to throw a good party here at theonering.net. We really, really, really do. Will we stream outside of our panel? That's up to you?
That's up to the gods of 4G LTE, I guess.
If you could get the signal, then you're likely to be
Yeah, if I can
broadcasting.
get the signal, we'll be around trying to give you guys a sneak peek of everything, all the toys and collectibles. Did you see the announcement today that Funko is coming out, Funko Pops are coming out with their own cereal?
What?
Yeah.
Cereal?
Actual cereal, and Gollum is one of the first cereals. Look it up. Funko Pop Gollum cereal.
You are not even real right now.
They're called Funkos.
You are so not real.
I'm not. You don't believe me? Or I'll bring it up. I'll bring it
They're
up right
making
now.
a cereal with Gollum on the box? That's not happening. That is so not happening. I mean, is it really happening? Okay, all right. This tells you something. That means that the Tolkien estate is ready to license anything. If they're going to license putting Gollum on a box of Wheaties, then anything goes now. Oh, man, I didn't realize that. Really? I'm telling you. Cliff, have you heard of any Swedish Comic-Con conventions, and would you visit it? Hey, yes, I have. I would love
Look
to
at
be
this.
at Sweden. Believe me, I'll go to Sweden anytime you invite
You love
me.
Sweden.
I love Sweden, but I've never been to.
Wait for it.
Don't do this. Please
Wait
don't
for
do
it.
this to me.
Wait for it. Cuphead, Freddy Krueger, Jason, and Mega Man.
Don't do this to me.
And Gollum O's.
No, it's really happening. Gollum cereal.
Is this the first time Lord of the Rings has ever been a cereal? Did Ralph Bakshi's Lord of the Rings ever get their own cereal?
I've got a funny feeling that Christopher Lee ended up on a box of cereal somewhere in the year 2000. In the year
Really?
2001.
I thought he was on a Burger King burger. Remember the Burger King goblets?
Geez, no.
Lord of the Rings.
Don't do that to me. Yes.
But
I still have those goblets with the LED
you
lights
guys in
on
the
bottom.
chat room,
I have those goblets.
we talked about collecting earlier. Do anyone remember a Hobbit-themed breakfast cereal during the animated Rankin and Bass Lord of the Rings or Hobbit television special? Have we ever had a Lord of the Rings cereal? This might be the first one.
This might be.
And it looks great. I love green rings.
I don't want. No. Gosh.
I will drink the green milk after. It's gonna be so good.
I'm the kind of guy
I'll
who
feel like Luke Skywalker.
No, I'm the kind of guy who picks the green Fruit Loops out of the box because I just don't want to eat them. No, but no, seriously, this is really
Isn't
happening?
it cute? It's so cute.
Okay. Okay.
What do you guys think in the chat room? Oh man, there's so much
I
laughter
don't even know what
going
to say.
on.
There's a lot. People in the chat are blowing up with.
I hope that it is at Comic-Con. I will stand in line at whatever booth for whatever hours to get my hands on Gollum cereal, Funkos.
No. I can't. I just can't. I can't. All right.
This isn't a joke, folks. There's a real cereal from Funko.
Maybe I shouldn't be surprised because they've made gambling machines. They've made video poker, Lord of the Rings video gambling machines. So I shouldn't be surprised if they're going to make cereal.
Pete in the chat room just said, in all caps, "I hate that crap. They're spoiling Tolkien's legacy." Cliff, you did a documentary all about the history of Lord of the Rings fans called Ringers.
Yes.
You sold it to Sony. It got a major wide release. You won festivals all over, Sundance, Slam Dance, everywhere.
I did.
So is this a stain on Tolkien's legacy by making a cereal of Gollum? The answer is no, because Leonard Nimoy did a song called Bilbo Baggins, and you all love it. No one has said anything bad about Bilbo Baggins. And
bravest little hobbit of them all. Yeah, no. I'm telling you, it's one thing to say, wow, Tolkien's been licensed for a bloody theme park. We're going to have a Middle-earth theme park. It's just weird. It's weird, but if the Tolkien estate is involved, then I trust that they have some more creative control over it. I trust that the Tolkien estate has more creative control over what Amazon is going to do with the show and what licensing they're going to be doing. I'm not entirely pleased. I know that Professor Tolkien would not be pleased
Do you think
to
he
see a
ate
box
cereal
of cereal.
Or was
No.
Tolkien did not support sugar cereals? I bet you he was the kind of father that made his kids eat and drink healthy. Like no sugar cereals except on your birthday. Tolkien strikes me as one of those types of parents.
Actually, NZ makes an excellent point. Do we know for sure that the Tolkien estate licensed this?
100%, yes.
Because it could be something that was part of an earlier merchandising deal. Well, you know what?
The estate is in control, and they can say yes and no.
And they
anything.
said yes to all of the new Funko Pops, and that's why we started getting all the new ones.
Yes.
Because it was part of the new deal.
There was
part of the new deal.
An emptiness in fandom when there was about 2 years of no new Tolkien pops. And we were clamoring for them, weren't we? The fans, every year at Comic-Con, they would be like, show us the Tolkien pops.
Give
and
us
there
more
were
toys. Give us more merch.
It was more than a couple years. It was like 5 years of just no Tolkien stuff. So anything out now is officially approved by the estate.
Just because I don't like it doesn't mean that the estate has not approved it.
I love it.
He loves it. I'm not pleased. But then again,
I will live stream me eating that cereal.
You would. Well, they put out a Batman versus Superman Dawn of Justice cereal.
They put out a Batman versus Superman
movie. They did.
movie.
It's true. Did that help? Did that help the fans' response to that? No.
No,
didn't
but the
help.
Hobbit menu was good at Denny's. Remember the Hobbit menu
Oh,
at
speaking
Denny's?
of, hey, we've got Hobbity menu items here at Scum and Villainy.
We're so glad that they host us.
Can we put in an order for Sam's Shire taters, please? Thank you.
Tater tots.
And I would like them Gollum style with the cheese, please. Thank you very
Cheese.
much. I love you, man. I love you, man. This is so fun.
Pete is mentioning.
Here I am. I'm complaining about Gollum cereal at the same time I'm ordering Sam's taters at the bar. So there's no end to the irony. There's just no end to it.
Scuffed World Order in the chat room says, yes, capitalism is evil.
And
Yet
here we are.
Is that a message of Tolkien, though?
No, Professor Tolkien.
Did he hate capitalism?
Did you? No. Did you notice how infrequently Tolkien talks about money or finance? It's just the only people who are ever interested in money are the dwarves. It's only the dwarves who seem to be interested in making that paper. Make that paper. Dig, dig, dig.
The only time we see money exchange is when the dwarves buy a boat ride from Bard the Bowman in the barrels.
That doesn't happen in the book. Happens in the movie. There's a lot of things.
That's not in the book, really. They don't.
Not in the book.
They don't pay for the ride.
They don't even meet Bard. He's not running a barge. That doesn't happen.
Wow.
Read the bloody book, Justin.
Calm
My God,
down.
man.
No, I like the movies.
Doesn't happen. I'm telling you, it doesn't happen.
I like the movies are good.
Okay.
I like the movies.
I love you, man, but you need to read The Hobbit.
Because it's a kid's book.
This guy standing here next to me, he made a promise to Royd Tolkien, the great-grandson of J.R.R. Tolkien.
I've read it.
And you
I've read
have broken
it.
that
Royd.
promise.
What do you mean? You didn't see me not read it, so that doesn't mean I did read it or I didn't read it because you.
I love you, but I love busting your chops more.
I like the movies better.
He likes the movies better.
Than the book I haven't read.
I like the books. I'm that kind of guy. I'm a Tolkien fan. Shoot me. I'm telling you.
So let me ask you this: if people are already a little bit upset that there's a Gollum cereal
Jen is like, read the
coming
damn book,
out
Justin.
from Funko, do you think there will be more aggression or more negative energy from fans if Amazon starts capitalizing on their Lord of the Rings license? Since Amazon bought Whole Foods, they could literally release Lord of the Rings branded potatoes at Whole Foods,
all right,
and I would buy it. I
You
would
would.
buy all the Lord of the Rings food if they did that.
All right.
If Star Wars can have bananas, Lord of the Rings can have Samwise can have potatoes.
Commercialize if you overdo it, it's gross. Over commercializing anything is gross. What happened to Coachella? Right?
No.
Right?
It's still good.
You over commercialize anything, it becomes gross.
This year was the best Coachella in years.
If you handle it gently and with some sensibilities, then you can merchandise some stuff with Middle Earth and have it be kind of cool and have a lot of fans interested in it. But you lost to me at green cereal. You lost to me at green cereal with Gollum. I'm sorry.
It's so green, though.
It's so, I don't know. Pipsky says, the professor said that we should all be like hobbits, loving simple things and appreciating simple things.
I don't think that's the message of the Hobbits because both Bilbo and Frodo were the richest hobbits in Hobbiton. They hoarded their wealth.
No.
They did not invest in their community.
That's not a
and
message. That's a trope.
And then when
It's not a
Frodo
message,
and Bilbo
it's a
went
trope.
on adventures,
No.
people raided their
No.
house because they were the curmudgeon rich people.
Professor Tolkien thought that it was amusing to take a stuffy British rural gentleman who thinks that he's got more money than he needs and to make him uncomfortable. The idea was fish out of water. Get it? It's a very, very simple
So Lord of the
fish out
Rings
of water
is a
idea.
morality tale for rich people?
No. The Hobbit is based upon let's get you out of your comfort zone. You're a little bit too wealthy. You're a little bit too comfortable living in Bag End. Here comes Gandalf.
One bag shot
Here comes
row.
Gandalf to remind you that you don't need to live insulated from the rest of the world. You need to go out and see the world. You need to go out and be part of life. Life is for the living. That's the trope of The Hobbit. That
A
we
guy
love.
in the chat
We
room
love that.
says Bilbo gave away his riches freely. Is that true?
Yes.
Where?
Yes, he gave
I
away.
didn't see it.
Look, Thorin, by contract, Bilbo had a contract to bring 1/14 of the horde of Smaug, and that would have
That's
been
a lot of money.
caravan of many horses and wagons bringing thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, millions of dollars. Sam's taters.
Taters, precious.
Tater tots. Listen,
Taters, precious.
Bilbo said, I don't need all that. Just give me one small chest. And he went home with one
With
small
mithril.
chest of gold, and still that became aggrandized by hobbits gossiping about it as if he had mountains of gold stacked in the hall of Bag End. And everybody in the Shire thought that there was much, much more riches than Bilbo really had. He was very free.
Someone in the chat room says Denethor and the Master of Lake Town probably shopped at Whole Foods.
He gave coins
I
and
agree.
gold away to his young cousins, his young nephews.
I mean, we all saw all the fresh
good.
vegetables and fruits that Denethor ate in the movie. And I think Master of Lake
good.
Town did, Stephen Fry.
No, I'll tell you something.
Well,
You'll make a better argument after you read the book. Then you read the book, come back to me, then argue with me then.
it won't be as
okay?
fun if I have read the book. I enjoy the movies as they are, and I don't want to ruin the movies with a bunch of expanded universe books.
You guys, Scum and Villainy is an awesome place. I say I love you guys. Thank you for hosting us. This place is awesome. Anybody watching the live stream, come on down.
Every week,
the
open
next
to the
contestant.
public.
Come on
and
down.
This place is zoned as a restaurant. It's all ages. Bring
Mm-hmm.
your kids, bring your hobbit feet, dress in cosplay or not. Just sit at the bar
No,
and join our
you
conversation.
need to hide your kids, hide your wife, and hide your husband.
No,
Because they raping everybody up in here.
Look,
No, I'm
we
sorry. I
have
lo- I
Mad
love
Max Wasteland Warriors here.
He is dressed like a wasteland warrior. I'm like,
Yeah.
that sexy midriff. I don't know, man. You need to hold me back. Oh my God. Come on down. Scum and Villainy is located conveniently next to the Metro Hollywood and Vine station, right here in the heart of downtown Hollywood, at the corner of Cahuenga and Hollywood. And guess what? We're here every Tuesday, bringing all the mischief, talking about Middle Earth, and with great interest and curiosity, we're going to be delving into the Amazon series. The more we know, the more you know. We're going to share with you. We're going to bring the news as much as we bring the gossip. I'm the king of Lord of the Rings gossip. I try my best. But when we get real facts, when we get a little birdie landing on the windowsill who whispers in Justin's ear and he starts learning secrets, that stuff comes to me and I will filter it through to all of you. You guys are welcome to join us. We have a great brotherhood, sisterhood, a community of Lord of the Rings fans. That's a tasty cocktail. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I know. Good stuff. Come on down, have a drink, have some of Sam's taters. But please, please, don't expect that Justin's going to read The Hobbit by next week, because it's just not going to happen.
You said it's short. You said I could do it in 2 days.
You could read The Hobbit in a few hours. It's like eating cotton candy. You're done so fast with it. You're like, oh, that was The Hobbit?
But it's
I
reading.
just read that.
It's reading.
Oh, yeah, and reading is fundamental. The library is now open. Thank you, RuPaul. The library is open.
We'll see you next week. We're here every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Pacific from Scum and Villainy and Cliff.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm excited about Comic-Con.
I'm excited about Comic-Con as well, and I'm telling you guys, it's going to be an amazing weekend. We have a big presentation on Friday,
at 3 o'clock.
July 20th.
So
Friday,
come
July
on,
20th.
be in San Diego and come hang out with us. We'll
Everybody,
see you.
hey, Pete, Pipsky, Scott,
Enzi,
Enzi,
everybody.
you're awesome. Sarah, everybody in there in
Thank
that
you,
live
everyone,
chat.
for joining the show
Thank you.
online and in person.
Thank you for Josh for coming to tell us more about Gemmer and our collectors community. It's really cool stuff. I really need to get some photos of my collection.
Yes,
It's crazy.
you need to be up there.
I'm the last guy.
We'll
to
see
do
you
it.
next week.
Be safe, everybody. See you next time.
Very good.
Thank you. I'm going to eat my goddamn tater tots now. Oh my God, that's so good. Boil 'em, mash 'em, stick 'em in a stew. That's right.